and welcome. We're talking boundaries this week. I don't know what you guys think about when you think boundaries, but I kind of see maybe a line drawn across that says, this is where you stop, this is my area, this is your area. I also see a big wall, or maybe, a wall, a boundary, or something like a stop nonsense. Oh. Oh, that's why they call them stop nonsense. I never knew. What's the real thing for that type of a wall? What's the real name? But yeah, I know we have it at home. My mom has a stop nonsense. So it's kind of like you putting up a wall. That's what comes to my mind. So, which means when you put up a boundary or you put up a wall or a stop nonsense, that means you're trying to protect something. Something that is maybe no longer in a safe space or no longer in a safe place, and you're trying to protect and set your lines to say from here onwards this space is protected. Or also when you have it in a form of a wall, it's kind of like also marking that territory to say this space from here to here belongs to me. So if anybody wants to come in, they must talk to me. If you're on the other side, you're on the other side. Okay. So that's what comes to my mind when I think about a boundary. You guys can also comment and tell me about how you see boundaries. So now let's come to the real life when we're talking about boundaries and people are trying to set boundaries. First of all, we have to acknowledge that to set a boundary is not easy, and I'll talk a little bit about that just now. So obviously when I want to set a boundary, what I mean is that I want to protect something, or something is no longer in a safe space. And that could be anything. That could be my mental wellness, peace of mind. It could be my family. It could be my finances. It could be my children. It could be my future. Something is being threatened and no longer safe. That's why I try and create a boundary to make sure that I protect and I create clear barriers in terms of what starts where, what ends where, and who needs to move into what space. Okay, so you want to protect whatever that is of value to you or yourself or something. So which means by the time you say you're deciding to set a boundary, there's a trigger of unsafeness that's happening around. That's why you want to start to put a boundary. That means there's a threat of some sort or discomfort of some sort, or something is happening, but you are not at a good space. That is one thing we need to remember. Okay. Now, say you are setting up now a boundary. Most of the time we set boundaries against or for people that are very close to us. I don't think I would just set a boundary for a stranger, though yes, there are boundaries for strangers. However, I think when I had to decide now that I'm setting up a boundary, it is for people that are around me. It's either my parents, my siblings, my children, my spouse, or my boss, or my colleagues, people around you that are closer to you, or friends even. Okay, we can list more, but it's people that are close to you that have already probably been in your space for that long, where you want to create boundaries for. Okay, so it's not going to be easy. All right, now, why is it not going to be easy? Because the people that I'm setting the boundary for are going to react, and they're not going to react in a positive way most of the time. They react in a negative way, because now, why do you set boundaries now? We've been doing this way. Why now? Let me give you a practical example. There are many, many examples, but the one that comes to mind is you have a son. I have sons, obviously. So now I have my son who's been doing stuff for me, and probably his siblings as well, and they've been taking care of me, giving me money as a mother or whatever. Then son decides to get married and decides, mom, now I need to focus on my own family and my wife. We need to save money to buy a house, or we want to have a child or whatever. So I'm not going to be able to do certain things for you or for my siblings as well. And guess what? Why? You think you're better. Your wife is controlling you. All of a sudden you want a house, when you want a house, things like that. That's the type of reaction that I'm talking about. I have not really experienced a person who sets a boundary and then they get positive feedback. I think maybe, yes, it does happen where other people are saying, yeah, no, it's about time, we understand. But most of the time, because you are taking away from people, and because it was always about them, not you, that's why they will react differently and react in a way that will make you feel horrible, bad about yourself. And it doesn't end. It will be like every time they will remind you about how you've changed, how you're no longer the same, how you're selfish, how this, how that, how that, how that. It happens in many, many ways, even with your children, even with your spouse. Sometimes it's boundaries about your own time, sometimes it's boundaries about rules. Anything, guys, you can think about anything. So let's use this example that you're setting a boundary that, Fem, I'm no longer going to be able to financially assist you with certain things, and I'm going to focus on myself and focus on my own family. And they are unhappy about that and thinking, now you've changed, now what must happen because you've been the one doing this. Now when you decide to stop, what must they do? You know? Now let's go back to the fact that for anybody to even initiate a boundary, it's going to be difficult because of those comments that they are avoiding, the unpleasant remarks where a person is now spoken about, gossips in the family, you looked at differently, there's always an attack, and you're kind of feeling excluded and neglected and all of that because you don't want to be a part of whatever, because you've decided on whatever you've decided. So guys, for one person to decide that they're putting a boundary, it is not an easy decision. It is difficult because experience has shown and told you with other people and other things that you will be a villain, and nobody wants to be in a space where they are rejected by their family or whatever. So people think a lot about this before they set up the boundary. They think, they process, and they wonder what's going to happen. They play different scenarios, and they will try many times to set a boundary, and then they will get the attack, and then they'll probably retract and continue, but it still feels like this is wrong, and they'll try again, and they'll try again, they'll try again. So it is not easy for one to decide they're setting a boundary. What I don't see also is when a person sets a boundary, nobody goes and asks, are you okay? What happened? How are you feeling? Because like I said earlier, for a person to decide that they're setting a boundary, it means they're already feeling unsafe somehow, that something is going to go wrong if I don't do this. I'm not going to be okay. I'm going to get into depression. I'm going to get into financial debts, lot of debts if I don't stop this. I'm going to lose my wife. I'm going to lose my children. I'm not going to be able to have control over. So that means there's a threat of some sort of unsafety about the situation. So, and they are feeling it, and it's a real feeling of fear or worry or whatever. So for a person to start and set a boundary, they've thought about it and something is wrong. But as people, we always think about what we are losing because of the boundary instead of thinking about the person. Are you okay? What's wrong? What's been bothering you? What have we done wrong? Maybe we were not aware about the entitlement that we have now gotten into because you were helping us. Initially, you were helping us. Now we are entitled. We want this forever and ever. Or maybe we were not grateful, or we were not trying to understand your situation. Whatever, because that person is not in a good space. So let's think about that when people set boundaries, to actually try and react differently, not to think about ourselves first and say, but what am I losing? Why, what's going to happen? But to actually try and think about them, to say, what have I done or contributed to making this person feel that there is something that is going to go wrong, and that they need to set a boundary for me, to say, you no longer step out of this line or over this line. You stay there, I stay there. So that's my first plea, but also secondly, to be very respectful about people's boundaries and also understand that they've set a boundary. It's not easy. Can we just not be those people that are just attacking because we are losing something? I have realized that I am better off if I volunteer something. I give better if I'm volunteering more than when I'm expected, or there's some type of entitlement that is there to say I should be doing something, or I must do something, I must continue to do something. I actually give better when it's my decision, my choice, where I can. I'm even a better person because I'm okay, I'm calm, I don't have the pressure, all of that. So let's think about that. And also, when you are about to set your boundaries, think that, do be aware that it's not going to be easy. You have to be resilient, but you have to stay there. If you can explain to your people why you are setting the boundary, that's much better. If they are unwilling to understand or listen to you, that's okay. But I know that because it has so much, we are prone to actually going back and forth with this, whereas we need to just stick to it and make sure that it's there. For to us who are already maybe receiving or entitled or have been receiving, can we just think about the person who's been always giving? Can we just maybe stop and think about how have we just been entitled, or just been taking and not checking up on the person if they can even still continue to give what they've been giving, or to do what they've been doing, or to accept what they've been accepting, or to live with what they've been living with. You don't know that. They just continue and you just continue because nobody's saying anything. So that's what came to my mind. And it's because I had been in a golf estate that didn't have walls, and the houses are everywhere. It's just one wall around the golf estate, but in between. And I thought, okay, so there's some level of safety here and respect, that this person will know that this is my property, this is my space, not to. But why do we have at home boundaries? And because we don't respect each other's spaces, and we want to kind of like make it clear that this is my space. Because people disrespect that, or they're entitled to say, if it's open, I'll just move. It's everybody's territory. So yeah, it's good to be selfish. Healthy selfishness is necessary. Time for yourself, taking away things so that you can feel okay. Your mental wellness is important more than other people's wellness, because if you are not okay, you're not okay. So you have to say, I'm not okay to continue with this. I'm not okay to continue to accept this. Your future, whatever you want, is important. So if you ever decide to set a boundary because you it's justified for you, it's okay. It doesn't matter if people say you're selfish or what, it is okay.